We talked earlier in the show about pre-emerge herbicides in soybeans. Now let's get to the pre's in corn.
You think corn's a grass crop, soybeans are a broadleaf crop. So in soybeans, those broadleaf weeds are really tough to control. In corn, a lot of times you end up focusing on some of the grass weeds out there. So you say, well, maybe I don't want to spend money on a broadleaf product early because I've got some other broadleaf products that I could use post-emerge. So what other pre's are we talking about in corn?
The number one pre in corn is Harness, which is basically the same thing as Surpass. There's also Outlook, Dual, and many other products, but those are the main four. So Harness, Surpass, Outlook, and Dual, they're very good herbicides. It's just that my preference is I would like to see those lightly incorporated.
Okay, this winter and into the spring, we're talking a lot about no-till situations because, frankly, a lot of fall tillage didn't get done for farmers who were normally doing fall tillage. So if you're looking for a little burn down out of these products, there is one. Unfortunately, it's not labeled in every state.
There's Balance Pro that's been used for many years. Now it's being replaced by Balance Flex. The Balance Flex basically is just the balance plus a safener, so it's going to be safer on corn, and they're talking about even using it up to 2-collar corn. You can spray it even over the top of the corn and it's not supposed to hurt it. Now, we aren't going to be using any Balance Flex post-emerge on our farm on a big scale. We'll start off on a small scale just because I'm a little cautious about that. I would rather not jump into some new product with a new safener and do it on a whole slug of acres. But I do like Balance Flex or Balance Pro simply because we're struggling with Roundup and controlling broadleaf weeds. Roundup is still great on grasses, so in our corn we can do an excellent job of grass control post-emerge with the Roundup. All we need is a little bit of help pre-emerge on the grass. We need quite a bit of help on the broadleaves though. Balance does an excellent job on a lot of the small-seeded broadleaves like lamb's quarters, water hemp, kochia. It's pretty good even on velvet leaf.
Well, one of the other products that does a decent job on broadleaves and also has some burn down activity to it is one that's a little bit controversial when it comes to pre-products, and it's atrazine. And I know as soon as I say the word atrazine and using it pre, Brian, the hair on the back of his neck just starts standing up. It actually gets kind of fun watching him. He gets a little bit red in the face because, you know, agronomically, we can definitely kill weeds. It's cost effective, that kind of thing, but it may not be the right thing to do for the environment.
Well, let's get into that just a little bit, Darren. Here's the reason why I don't like atrazine. Atrazine is ending up in so much of the groundwater around the United States, and whenever people hear about atrazine in the groundwater, they just freak out. But is atrazine actually that dangerous?
Well, no, it's a lot less dangerous than you may think. In fact, it takes 15 times more atrazine than caffeine to do some damage. So you think about how much
more than to do some damage, to kill you. It would take 15 times as much atrazine.
I didn't want to use those harsh words, Brian.
I will. It'll take 15 times as much atrazine. What we're talking about is the LD50, lethal dose 50%. That's what that means. So it'll kill 50% of a population. In other words, that's bad. That's a bad level.
Yeah, and caffeine is one that's a lot harsher dose for dose than atrazine
The
is.
LD50 on caffeine is 200, so it's 200 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, has been shown in tests with rats, and so they convert this up to humans and say, well, that would kill 50% of a population. The LD50 for atrazine is 15 times higher. It's 3,000. So in other words, it would take a 15 times higher dose of atrazine to do the same kind of damage to you as caffeine.
Well, you could
That's
drink
a big difference.
500 or 1,000 cans of Coke all in one instant and do the job, or if you wanted to drink atrazine, it would take 15 times more than that.
So even though this is a proven fact, I will guarantee you if there was atrazine found in groundwater and caffeine found in groundwater tomorrow at the exact same levels, what would people have an issue with? It'd be that atrazine. Well, atrazine, the reason why it does end up in groundwater sometimes is it's very leachable. And the reason why we don't like using atrazine as a pre is because when it is used as a pre, it's in the spring where you don't have crop growing, you don't have foliage to absorb it, you don't have roots to absorb it, you have more rainfall, you have less heat, you have less sunlight.
You can tell he isn't very excited about this topic at all.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a lot greater chance of having that atrazine leach down and get in the groundwater when you use it in the spring as compared to when you use it when you should in the summertime once the crop is up and growing.
Okay, now I want to say one thing. Brian at the start of this said, I don't like atrazine. What he means is he doesn't like it pre. It's a great product to use post. It's a great helper for some of the broadleaf control products later on in the season when you aren't going to have any kind of environmental impact. When you're using it pre, there's a lot more chance of having a negative environmental impact, and that's why we don't like it. It's a product that does a good job on many weeds. We don't want to lose it. So let's use this product properly.
That's right. My big thing is we have a lot of other ways that we can control weeds. You want to use atrazine very carefully. Use it the right way, everything's going to be fine. But the trouble is if you use high rates pre-emerge, I'm just so worried it's going to end up in the groundwater, and that gives all of us farmers a bad name. We don't need that. We already have enough issues as farmers. We're trying to do the right thing for the environment besides just controlling weeds.
So don't try to drink a gazillion cans of Coke or drink any atrazine at all, please. We aren't telling you it's safe to drink. But what we are saying is people do blow any kind of chemical that gets into problems or gets into places we don't want it, like groundwater. They blow that so far out of proportion that, oh my goodness, if we have just a hint of anything, it's the end of the world. We don't want those kind of problems. All we're trying to do is kill some weeds, pre-emerge in corn. There's a lot of different choices you could use. You can use grass products like Harness and Surpass, Outlook, and Dual. You can use broadleaf products like Balance or Balance Flex in states where it's labeled. Save the atrazine for post.
Well, the key question is, will any of these pre's control our weed of the week? We'll talk about it coming up next.